Day 75, Lockdown Golf Podcast. Don't cry because it's over. Cry because it happened. That's the name of this episode. So
that's right.
Yep. It's funny because we just talked about it late last week with Adam Unfiltered, and we're like, oh my God, I don't doing this daily. And especially now where we're not, let's face it, as much as we're being careful, taking our time, we're not quarantined. You know what I mean?
Correct.
We're allowed, you can pretty much do whatever you want and just wear your mask. Now,
right.
That made us decide over the weekend, more or less, this is it. Day 75 is the last Lockdown Golf Podcast. What does the future hold? We have some plans. We aren't leaving, but we're both kind of sick as shit of doing this right now. So we're going to take a break, go back to just doing the weekly YouTube show as normal for now. Stay tuned. We'll just say that. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
We'll see. And listen, if you're looking for something that's apolitical and you can't take our hard-hitting facts and opinions, we understand. But the good news is if this podcast jumped that shark for you, specifically you, one person.
Yeah. The guy who announced that he was unfollowing me. Yeah. Or unfollowing us or whatever it was, like
on our Twitter.
You could just stop listening. You don't have to
when we're making these huge controversial political, and this is what kills me. I guess we got somewhat political. We weren't super all over that map. But anyway, good news, you got us canceled. You did it. Locked in Golf Podcast canceled because of your efforts.
That's right.
Anyway, It's a good time. It's a good time to wrap it up. We did 75 shows. I think we had a lot of plans. Let's both make sure we're doing that real quick. For those just listening, fixing our hair under our hats simultaneously. A couple of douches.
I just had itchy hat head. I just needed to
I'm now. If you're watching this on Thursday, you can see I'm back in the home stew, and I was like, I don't know the last time I had clean hair and whatnot. So I took a good home shower today, and I'm like, I'm not used to feeling clean, and it's making me uncomfortable. But so podcast 75 shows. We had a lot of plans. We were going to kind of do some retrospectives. We were going to have a parade of our guests come through and sort of wrap it up together. And both of us just were like, you know what? It's a great idea. We're not doing it.
Right. So fatigue. I think fatigue set in, and that was it.
I think fatigue we could have powered through. It was worse than fatigue. It was like, you know what? Just done with it. Just done. Which sounds like fatigue, I know, but I feel like it's worse. Anyway, so I hope you enjoy the last show. At least for now. God knows what. Either way, thank you for sticking with us on this journey. If you have, all 5 of you, since our 6th person left. But
thanks to the guests that we have had,
especially the guests. Yep, we'll get
J Riv and the Muni Kids and John Claffey and our friendly neighborhood golf pro.
J Riv wasn't on Lockdown Golf Podcast. He was.
Oh, he wasn't. He was only on the other one.
Only on the YouTube show early on. But yeah, it's like, oh, Victor Fab. I'm like, nope, never had him on this. He
wasn't on that. Yeah.
Episode 3. Yeah. But anyway, thanks for your support, J-Riv, obviously. And
right,
your notes,
for sure.
Your day after production notes, yep.
It's true.
God, who else? Brandon from True Linkswear.
Yeah.
Sub 70 guys.
That's right.
Just, Andy Gorman, of course. Thanks
Andy
for
Gorman.
Andy Gorman. Thanks for 75 episodes. You provided content one way or another for about 63 of them.
Yeah, and thanks to our pal Dave too, who's helped out.
Yeah,
he wasn't on the show, but he certainly had something to do with the show.
Yeah, really. So Dave, thank you very much. Anyway, let's move on to some topics and do this series finality in all of its glory here.
That's right.
we had the Travelers, which was full of coronavirus drama all week. Did you see
Oh
that
yeah.
Cameron Champ? 3 days of testing, post-testing positive, and all the tests have come back negative. And so everyone's like, oh my
Yep.
God. And like,
Yep.
again, if you didn't think they would have this very scenario happen, you're crazy. Like there is false testing. And I think Adam Unfiltered goes, this is called troubleshooting and testing things out. You go, oh, okay, our process isn't perfect. We'll learn and adapt. That's
Right.
okay.
Right.
This was allowed to be broken. And,
Right.
you know, I shouldn't say broken. It was allowed to be not perfect and figure it out. And again, these guys are all self-contractors, right? At no point is anyone holding a gun to their head saying you have to play in these tournaments. If they're not comfortable, don't do it.
Right. For sure. I just wish I wish like Monahan or the PGA or someone would have said that from the get-go. Like, look, this is how we're going to approach doing this. If we see issues, we will address them. So it wasn't like this. It was very much like just, it was chaotic almost,
Mm-hmm.
and then, the positive tests and the 2 negative tests and another positive or whatever it was. And I feel like everyone went through that. The Chase Koepka went through it, and your guy, the most elite and best player in the world right now, Webb Simpson went through it. And
wait, Chase Koepka had he had a positive test, or it might be.
I think he withdrew because
he played with Brooks and Brooks's kit, right?
Right. So what I think he kind of withdrew from it
too. He qualifies and gets in. He's like, I
know.
Sucked. But yeah, so amongst that though, Dustin Johnson, I forgot he is a doof, and there's something just very uninteresting about him. But man, is it not so fun to watch when he wins golf tournaments?
Oh yeah,
what a profound statement. But
it's true.
The way him and his brother are just it's almost like they just won at beer pong. You know what I mean?
Right. Like, they're so bored
awesome,
of it.
Bro.
It's like, what? Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just two bros being bros together. And I mean bros not in the like familial sense. I mean like
couple of dudes.
You and me, couple bros. Yeah, that's us.
Right. Right.
So that was cool. Shout out that weird looking trust putter and winning with that. And of course, like, oh, is that proving anything? It's like, I don't know. He's, how he is with his.
Yeah, he may switch in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and be right back into the original Spider. I'm sorry, Austin's original Spider. So that was fun. But highlight of the tournament to me was clearly Ian Poulter's fart. And it wasn't confirmed as Ian Poulter at first, but the video started going out because they have the mics and there's no one there.
Oh my God, it's so funny.
I forgot the guy's name now, but
that he was playing with, I can't remember either.
Guy hits his tee shot, pause, and then just a world-class fart.
Get that? That's supposed to be more silent than that.
I mean, like a computer sound effect. And based on the timing of it and the volume, like, he got right up on the mic to do it. So if you were there and it was in camera, there was a whole big production and everybody was dying. And then I love that it is being celebrated on the internet. And then, of course, as soon as people see it's Poulter, like, oh, he's such an asshole. I hate how he always does. He's this guy, he's a douchebag. I'm like, oh my God, somebody was having fun in golf. Yep, he's a douchebag.
Right. And it was hilarious. Even the PGA Tour tweeted it. So they put it out there.
Well, think of all the ones where it's like Tiger caught farting on mic and it's not true, whatever. Like, no, we have a confirmed one. And I love when it hit Poulter's tweet that it was a 3-club wind out there. Oh, it's so good.
That was really funny.
There's a part of me that's like, maybe
really funny.
We edit it into the video that video.
I can try to cut it. I can try to cut it in. Yeah.
We'll get hit. We're gonna get hit for it and be like, get whatever that strike we get. But
it may get a warning or whatever. But
shout out,
keep that stuff up. Yeah.
We're not making money on this anyway, so it doesn't kill us. And if you know what, the PGA Tour gets some of our money to pay the $100,000 stipend for someone with coronavirus because they can't play, fine.
Right. So be it.
we're glad our very popular show that's losing people left, right, and center
because of my rants.
Your political propaganda,
Right?
son of a bitch. Speaking of sons of bitches, have I talked about on this show that when you're in Wisconsin, do as a Wisconsinites do. I was drinking brandy old fashions.
Were they good? I've never had a brandy old fashioned. I'm not a huge fan of the brandy.
But it's supper club stuff. You have to have the supper club
I get
drinks.
It.
And
right.
I think so. I don't really know because it's like I was working with minimal materials and I was just sort of like, oh, I forgot to buy something else, whatever. But I enjoyed them and they creep up on you pretty quick.
Yeah.
And you can start saying stuff like, holy cripes, Criminy Friday, and oh my gosh. Right. I'm just sitting there drinking one. Anybody else be like, hey, tell your folks it says hi.
Did you call it like what do they call it? Like a wolf? They call it something or a ruff instead of a roof. I think they have that sort of weird tick too.
I don't know. It's funny when
I guess that's that's more of a Midwest thing. I think I hear a lot of people say rough,
like RUFF instead of like
roof.
Like I don't say roof. I bet you I say both, but like saying, oh, I have a roof over my head.
Right. It's pretty close.
Yeah, but I don't like.
I mean, the further north you get, the more it moves towards rough.
Yeah. Well, it does it's interesting there because I hear someone from Wisconsin like, oh, you sound so Wisconsin. And then I'm like, I mean, I do stand out where they go, oh, you're clearly not from like, I don't know, Manitowoc, but it's like, it's not like if I was down in Tennessee, they'd be like, oh, okay, Chicago.
Right. And like when I lived in Texas and I would say, turn the light on, they'd be like, turn the light on. They would mock me.
Like you're like, why don't you spell it AHN? Like, okay,
right.
I will.
Right.
Fine. Go to Pittsburgh. It's worse. All right.
I should I might could, man. I might could. Because that's what they say down there.
Yeah, we're like Texas. You guys are very good at sounding endearing, but we're on to you. All right. You don't talk good. Just kidding. Texas, you're fine. Anyway. God, where were we? Trailers, Ian Poulter farting on camera or on mic, and it was awesome. Ian Poulter's the best.
You're talking about Wisconsin drinking brandy Manhattans.
Yeah. A lot of Spotted Cow, Moon Man. Shout out New Glarus beer. I hit one more place today before we left, by the way, and I couldn't find any coffee stout. Sorry. I'll get you.
Did you find any of the what is it? The red.
The other two you asked for. Yeah, I told you. I think you probably just forgotten all of your rage and bad moods last week. But yes, I got your 2 4-packs of each of those, or a 4-pack of each of those.
Oh, sweet. Okay, great. Those are bigger. Those are more important.
Good. I had a buddy too who's like he'll get me Yinglings if he goes to Indiana or Pennsylvania. So I was like, hey, what New Glarus one's like? Can you get me? He didn't define a quantity. He's like, can you get me some 2 Women? Which is a New Glarus beer. I should just say that, clear that up.
Yeah, be real specific about that.
I saw his wife. I'm like, hey, I got to drop 2 Women off for your husband. She's actually from Wisconsin. So that's why they're in New Glarus. But so she knew. But anyway,
got it.
But I'm like, usually you can find that fairly easy. I saw 1 6-pack of it at one gas station. I couldn't find it anywhere, and I never got to even this. I bet you that liquor store, the liquor store I go to probably did have it, and I looked in the wrong place. My bad. Yeah. So Wisconsin, as I was there, said, "Hey, I better play some golf up here." And I don't know if I mentioned it last week. It's all a blur, but my in-laws' place is like a half hour away from Sand Valley. You know me, big resort golf guy. So. Yeah. But the golf is good there, and then I can check in once a year, whatever. But I have to tell you that first original course, that's the only one we could get on. Core Crenshaw design. Obviously they've done plenty of courses, rebuilds, new builds.
They've done some good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Pinehurst #2 being a big one of theirs. Now, I've played this course quite a few times. I played it when it was like brand new. I mean, not quite a few, but a good handful of times. I played it when it was brand new. I played it in the rain, and I played it but it's only been around really 4.5 years.
Yeah, it's pretty young.
I'd have to really. I think they officially say 2017, but they had like preview play, then they had a soft launch. Anyway, so man, I still stand by it. Doesn't really have that like, oh, this is 17 at Medina, just like pop out at you. Really like scenic, impressionable hole. I mean, I can tell you all about like, oh, this one's interesting, that one's interesting, and features of them, but just that shot, you know what I mean? There's like that hole is a signature hole, and I always say like that's sort of the deal with Bandon, where I think it's super cool, but it's like, what's the one picture you put up of that course, and who knows? So anyway,
interesting. Okay.
With like the takeaway I have for you there is that you play it and appreciate it. It is awesome. Like it's a big magnitude thing. I sent a picture to someone of a guy hitting out of like a waste area, and just the size of the sand dune behind him just totally dwarfs him. So the experience is impressive, and the core Crenshaw course is great. And I never thought it was great, but it's matured now. The greens, they're healthy. They got them going good. And the greens, I can see somebody like, they're not like Pinehurst greens. And I'm like, I know. No one's going to mistake these greens for being turtle shells. But I started finding myself, and I played Pinehurst 2. Let's be specific. They did the restoration of Pinehurst 2. I played that restoration in 2011, and after having, I've played this course now a few times, but this was the first time I've been out there and been like, you have to play an almost Pinehurst 2 game. If, you miss the fairway, you're off in sand waste areas with wire brushes, cacti, you name it, right? And then if you're around the green, you have to play the bunkers a certain way. And while, they're maybe not these giant crowns, they're still tightly shaved, and your ball's going to roll down a waste area, a drainage area, something. And just faster than hell, just fast as can be, hard. It was awesome. So I had a ton of fun. Very Pinehurst-esque to me, and I can't wait for somebody like, oh, you're a golf guy. Like, shut up, okay? Yes.
You don't have to qualify every opinion you have, William. Just give your opinion.
Well, I know that.
Oh, okay. I always feel like you're like pre-defending yourself. Like, you don't need to defend yourself, man. If you think the golf course was Pinehurst-esque, then just say that.
No, I'll say whatever. Hey, I'll say whatever I want to say on this apolitical golf podcast.
I'm just saying you don't need to defend yourself. Or
I guess when I hear it come out of my mouth, I hear it like I'm saying, this course is like Pinehurst number 2 dead on. I go, listen, I'm not trying to tell you that. Like, I don't want somebody to go, wow, he said it's like Pinehurst 2. It's the same thing. This is nothing like it. Be like, it's not what I said. I'm telling you, it gave me a lot of the vibe. So I just want to be clear. And say, I just want to be, I guess that's what it is. I just want to be clear. I am not saying you it's Pinehurst number 2's twin.
I don't think that's what you said.
Yeah, but you know me and people.
You're like, so.
I don't trust anybody. I don't trust anybody to like it's not what I said. It's not what I said.
It's interesting that so I know you're like you would have rather, I think, played the golf course I played.
I did.
Than the one you did, right? But I'm not moving on to mine, but it's interesting that you have like this thing where like you want to see the iconic sort of picture. Yeah. Rather than, because I know you're like, obviously you'll go to a resort and you'll play golf and you'll love it.
Right.
But you really enjoy like the history and the clubhouse and the whole thing much more than that.
I want to know what Bobby.
It's interesting to me.
I just like, it's like, I want to know what Bobby Jones's opinion was of a 6 hole. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe sit on a bench that tells you the story, but I digress. Last closing point I have about Sand Valley, all staff wearing masks. You know, I think their implementation of the new world, especially up there where I found out they do it by county, so their rules are all sort of different. I think that they did a good job, and you know, the patios, you can still eat lunch on them, and they're nice and widespread. The one thing they have, like the Adirondack, however you say that, my speech history. They still have because like the big clubhouses at Mammoth, and you can still sit in the chairs watching people finish on Mammoth, but you can't over on Sand Valley. And I was like, you know, I think you should just not have those chairs out, but that's okay. So there's one. I think they did a good job managing. Interesting though, half of the people, I would say like half of the people around the buildings were wearing masks, half of them were not.
Yeah.
It's just very 50-50. I made a few mistakes. I didn't get any of the ice cream sandwiches, which is blasphemy if you go there. Screw that up. You know, New Glarus beers are like $1 a can, and the cocktails are like, at one point, my brother-in-law bought a round for like us and the guys we were playing with. We just got transfusions, and 4 of them, and they're like, "Yep, $28." Like, that should be like $56, you know?
I was gonna say, yeah, that's wow.
So it was cool. The highlight though might be they, you know, when in Wisconsin, right? Cheese curds. They do a buffalo cheese curd. It was the best cheese curd I have ever had. And I say to people all the time, if you told me you were gonna go to Sand Valley because you want to see what all the food's about, never mind the golf, totally get it. And I think that's a smart move. It's so good. So good. But anyway, Sand Valley was cool. Now, to your point, you said I'd rather play the course you played today, and I would. You played I'm trying to remember the math on it, about 110-year-old course?
100 and it was built in 1899.
Okay, yeah.
So 120?
An original, it's still the original design, of course.
Yes, mostly.
Right.
15 or 16 holes out of the 18 are the original design. Flossmoor Golf Club. I'll say the name.
I don't want you to say Flossmoor Golf Club. I want to call it Country Club forever.
Yeah, it's not Country Club anymore.
That makes me so sad because their old logo was good. Then, you know, it was so much classic, and it's like, if you sold the place, you should have sold, unless there was like something in the contract, but you sold the brand, the name with it. Just keep that name around and keep that logo and let me have that history.
It's interesting because they changed it because they want it to be a golf club.
Right. Okay.
Really, at the end of the day, they're not going to do weddings there. You know, they're not going to do banquets or anything like that. It's a golf club. Now, granted, they have a pool. Doesn't have any water in it right now because of current events. But they're doing a bunch of cool stuff too. They're going to do, so they've got a bit of an uptick in membership, but they're going to add some suites. So if golfers want to come and just stay the weekend, they'll have some on-site suites for people to stay. You know, they're still doing a bunch of tree removal. They're going to move another, I think he said like 1,000 trees or something like that from the property, which is pretty impressive because it's already pretty wide open. And the other thing too is I got to get you on that course, and we'll get on for sure because I've been invited back, and I think I'm going to play that course a lot this summer. And there are the 2 holes that are new. You know that they're new, and it never occurred to me that was a thing. But you absolutely know what you like. You know a modern golf hole when you see one. Mm-hmm. Which is pretty interesting to me. I had no idea, especially on a golf course that's kind of that old, right? The 2 new holes felt new. They looked new. They looked different. They still, you know, they just had it. They just kind of, they're great golf holes. Don't get me wrong. They're really fun.
That's what you get when you don't bring David Essler or Tom Doak in to do your old course new holes.
Maybe
a la Mount Prospect.
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, we want a whole new course, make it look old. Yep, got it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a
That's
stick,
true, especially
stick tap to those guys. I'm not saying that in a
No,
negative
no,
way. Like they're really
for sure.
they're good at that.
Yeah, that's like their deal. Yeah, so I mean, so a course that now, not saying it's not wide open, but it is framed by lots of trees. The fairways are kind of not, I don't know, they're just kind of misshapen, maybe. I don't know. They've got like, they've got different landing zones or whatever. And the newer holes are just different. They're just super wide. And they're much more kind of, you can tell they were they didn't use the land given to them necessarily, like the other architects had to use the land that was given to them. But that being said, I mean, I'll say this, right? A half hour to get there, a half hour to get home, basically a guaranteed 4 hour round, because they don't want any more than, or their goal is to have 250 members. I mean, so you're not waiting on holes. You don't see anybody out there. We were out at 7:30 a.m. and we didn't see another person till 9 or something on the golf course, because there's just not that many people playing. And because of the there isn't that much traffic, the course is just untouched. It's just pristine. Everything is perfect. So yeah, awesome golf course. There isn't a boring bunker to be found. There isn't a boring green to be found. Yeah, just and plus when I played with the guy that's running the course. That's how I got on there, because it's private. He showed me where the original clubhouse was that burnt down until they rebuilt the one, I think in the 1920s or something, or 1915 or whatever.
A lot of clubhouses, classic clubhouses in Chicago area burnt down, and interestingly, all their clubhouses are 1920s and later. Funny how that works.
Right. Go figure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what I didn't do is, obviously I didn't go inside the clubhouse because I'm not ready for that sort of thing. But otherwise, I mean, it's a perfect day on a private golf course. So with some really good humans. So it's all right.
Let's get down to it. The question wants to know, because it came out in the paper where they're like, yeah, we need to open it to the public. We need the revenue real bad. What happened with all that?
Yeah, they're happy with how it is right now. They're going to try to keep it private, and they're going to try to make it this golf club where people from the city come down and stay a couple days if they want. But yeah, it will not be open to the public.
It's a bad look. I mean, I don't
know. Here's the thing though. Calumet's closing down.
I don't mean
Calumet's not going to be private anymore. They're getting a lot of golfers from there.
I don't mean the move. Over. I don't mean the move. I mean how like brazen they were about like, yep, we're going to bring in public rounds and entice people to play here. And then it's just because there are a lot of people like, what's the deal there? And now it's like,
yeah,
oh, just kidding. We're not going to do that.
Yeah.
I think there's a spot for it if they can come in. If I remember correctly, the big issue there was, and it's something to do with taxes just being outrageous. I think it was there.
Flossmoor?
Yeah. There's like taxes on the club were hard. And for the record, could be totally confusing that with another course somewhere else going in that like private public battle.
Yeah.
But if someone can come up with that model, and I've said this before, where I don't feel like in Chicago we do a great job of having approachable, like you can be a middle class person and have a reasonable, affordable golf club, right?
Yeah.
And or that you can even get in, right? Because you're like, oh, you don't know the mayor of this city and blah 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 blah, right? So I think if somebody could execute like a accessible private golf club, there's room to succeed there, instead of being the like, no, you have to be fourth generation and have someone buried on the property to be allowed to, to like sniff at a membership.
I don't think that's the case anymore. You could, if you wanted to join Flossmoor, you could join Flossmoor tomorrow. It just costs a lot of money.
I know, but I'm using it as one example. They're finding a sweet spot where more people can join and spend money there that isn't super expensive.
Yeah, that's a tough ask.
That's what I'm saying. It is around here where other states
do
it. But here it's just not. I mean, Google it. There's stuff all over about how that's been a problem for Chicago area golf for decades, and that's why they're like there was such that boom to create so many of these clubs without that sort of foresight on keeping up with it, and that's why they lost a bunch of them. So
sure.
I'll be interested to see how they do. And yeah, obviously the history there is super cool. So
It is super cool. I mean, Bobby Jones held the record there for years and years.
And then you played it today, and so we're like, sorry, Bob.
Yeah, you can replace his name now. It's Chris with a K. Thank you very much.
I'm sure while you were there, because this is what all those clubs do, where they're like, well, see, Calumet didn't do this. Good thing we're here, or Idlewild's this, and Ravenslow that.
No, they didn't. Someone else that we were playing with brought it up. Was like they asked about it. Actually, they're like, because he had went and played. One of the guys we were playing with, he had went and played, I think, Calumet last week, and he said it was just trashed.
Yeah.
He said, the guy that got me on the course who we were playing with, who runs the place, he's like, yeah, we've had people come over and say like, we're gonna leave and we want some information about this place or whatever. So
did they say anything about, because that's been a big speculation, and last year they're like, we know we'll have at least 2020, and we're hoping we have a good enough year to keep it alive. But do they know any sort of insight on if Calumet is like flat out shutting down or not?
I don't think Calumet will be open next year.
Yeah,
I
think it was already an uphill battle, and I didn't know. I'm like,
yeah.
I don't see how they stand a chance with coronavirus.
No,
it's too bad. I mean,
no.
Last year it was still like a neat classic course.
Yeah,
but
maybe someone will come around and do the same thing that they did with Flossmoor or Ravenslow or whatever, and they'll try to bring it back to life. But it's gonna be tough.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be tough. But yeah, it was a great day. Played pretty well. No penalty shots for me, which is a rarity.
Now no one's taking your opinion serious because you're just lying to us.
I'm not. I swear to you, played really well. I got real dumb on 18, but there was some really fun golf holes on that golf course, and it was a lot. It was a good time. Can't wait to play it again.
Well, I hope you get me out there because I'd like to see it.
No, I will for sure. I don't think that's going to be a problem at all. The number of times that I think I'll be able to get out there. I mean, yeah.
I feel like you're hinting at you're going to get a membership there.
No, I told my guy, I said, okay, so you've got a pool. Two things. One, you need to introduce yoga classes, and two, you need to have an adults only section of the pool.
3,
and then I will talk about it.
3, you need to fill it with water at some point.
Well, I don't want to. He doesn't need to fill it with water right now.
I said some point. I didn't say now.
Right. You're right. Right. I think they plan on it, Bill. I don't think they're going to have an empty slab of concrete sitting there. But yeah, but that's what I need. I need a pool with an adults only section. I need yoga classes, and then it's not that difficult. It's not that difficult of a conversation. To be quite honest with you.
I'm just biting my tongue right now, just so you know.
And then I'll find out what my wife wants, because all those things are obviously.
I had a buddy who's like, I think I want to join a country club. He's like, what do you think? I live in this area. He actually lives down in that area. He goes, you know what? It'd be awesome. I go, what? It's like, any of these clubs, people fish on them, whatever. He goes, do any of them have bike trails? And I go, that sounds like the dumbest question in the world. But like, they do have these giant properties, and think like Medina.
Sure.
Medina could put a bike trail in that place. I'm not saying it wouldn't annoy golfers, whatever, but like theoretically, they could. I mean, Sand Valley has bike trails.
Sure.
It's a very different conversation. But I'm like, He goes, or what about, do any of them have like maybe they're near bike trails? So it's like I could go to the club and then like, well, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go hop on the bike and then come back to the club. And I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, that's a deal breaker. If I can't find that, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it.
It's kind of funny.
This conversation is making me want to play now Joliet Golf Club, because it's same
I'll go
sort of
play
deal,
that one.
except
Yeah.
they did open it to the public.
Right.
I'm really excited to see what happens with Flossmore now, just because I think like, and this is anything against them.
I think they might have something. I think their business model might be something that could work. It's going to take a little while. It's not going to be overnight, especially now. But I think they have.
Like,
They
think
might have
about
something.
Ravislow being an example. People are, maybe it wasn't you and me, but people are like, you have to remember that guy bought it shortly after it closed, and it still sucked for years.
For a long time. Yep.
And, they were losing money, but the guy's so loaded. He was like, that's fine. I'll just keep floating it. Don't worry about it. So I think like, and this isn't a Flossmore specific thing, but a lot of these people go, all right, there's 4 of us. We can cover this. And here's how we'll do that. And all right, Calumet's dying. We can suck in some people from there.
Yeah.
It all, you see it all. I wish I could remember the name of this one course. I'll see if I can find it. It's an interesting story, but it sounds great up front. The plan sounds good. And then the reality of like, well, this is why this property has been struggling in the first place.
Sure.
So I'm just very interested to see what happens. It'll be great it'll be great if another one down there isn't lost. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think they recognize that there are some improvements that need to be made still. Not like they want to do this or that, but they really feel like, part of it is tree removal to kind of continue to restore the course to its original sort of design. The practice area probably isn't great, but these older places, right? Like there isn't a lot of room. There's not a lot of room in Flossmore to put a huge like practice facility or anything. So they're still working on that. Their short game area is like very much kind of adjacent from the range and the putting green. So I didn't even know it was there until we were on the course, and I was like, what's going on over there? And like, oh, that's the random short game area that we, that's put in, which, it's a great little area. You can go and be by yourself, and you can be alone and kind of, work on your short game. But
they're like our original short game
area. You can't find it. Our
original short game area burnt down in 1918, and this was the one they put in 1938.
Right. But yeah, anyways, there's some, I think the visuals, like the bunkering is so cool at the place. I kept talking throughout the day about the bunkering and the greens. Well, one, because I putted my ass off today. It's amazing. But the bunkering is just super cool throughout the course. And it adds such a great visual piece to a golf course. It's super. It's awesome.
Too, you play so many $30 shitholes where you're like, oh,
sure,
well kept bunkers and greens, huh?
Yeah, it wasn't even. Yeah, well, the greens are. I mean, again, nobody play. I mean, they're not playing a lot on these places, right? So they have a huge advantage from the start.
Yep.
But the it's not like everyone looks at the Augusta model where the sand is like beachy, sugary stuff, right? Well, we don't have that in the Midwest. You get what we have here, which is kind of like a dirt sand, but they're all different sort of like the fingers that come out of the bunkering, and it's not just like they're not giving you like these kidney shaped, jelly bean shaped, boring bunkers, so it's fun.
How dare you? There's nothing wrong with kidney-shaped jelly bean bunkers if they're done well.
If they're done well, but I mean, I feel like you see those everywhere.
Yeah,
you don't see this stuff as much.
Yeah,
especially in the Midwest. So, yeah.
Hey, what are these bunkers, Don Ross? I love Donald Ross bunkering.
I'm still trying to get out of that Don Ross bunker at Ravislow right now as we speak.
It's crazy. I'm like, Chris, this doesn't look like a normal background. You're like, I'm still at Rav, man.
Stupid 3-foot radius pot bunker.
Yeah. Langford and Moreau had really cool bunker too, which maybe that's a Schaumburg trip we have to make.
That we may play that on Friday.
3rd of July. Yeah. Everyone's got that.
Yeah.
Yeah. My golf tokens are pretty cashed right now.
Yeah, that's why I didn't even ask. I didn't want you to feel guilty by saying,
dude,
no.
Think about it. I have to put humble bragger. I had to turn down a private invite in the Chicagoland area last Friday because I was in Wisconsin. Well, then I got booted it got booted to Tuesday, and I'm like, well, then my wife and kids are supposed to go back up to Wisconsin in a few weeks. So I was like, you know what? I'll get that knocked out. I'll go play that. We got to get on Kish National Golf and Tennis and Polo Club.
So that's true.
We'll get that. Maybe we can get that in that. And I'm like, I'm just gonna have to start really I'm just gonna bang stuff out every day that week. Like all the obligations, you know what I mean? It's like it won't even be fun. It's not even be fun. I'm just gonna
all right, checking boxes.
All right, sub 70. Let's go play golf. Oh,
right.
God. Like you're not even having fun. I'm like, no, I'm not. All right. All right. Well, do you have any final words you want to put in about what the Lockdown Golf Podcast has meant to you, or do you just want to be done? Because I'm good with it. I just want to be done. That's fine.
I don't know, man. I feel like we should say something. Like we did 75 of these shows. Well, 74 technically.
Depending on who you ask. Let's tell that story. So we start texting. I don't know if anybody knows this. Chris had a really bad attitude last week. And, you know, my schedule being weird. I'm like, hey, do you still want to do Thursday night? I'm like, do you still want to do a show? And he's like, it's late. I don't care. And I'm like, yeah, I'm good with it. We'll just go straight from 73 to 75 and not even worry about it. In fact, we weren't going to say anything, but it's funny, so we will.
Right. No, I just think it's been fun, man. It has been fun.
I don't know if
not gonna lie.
I don't know if I agree with you. I don't.
All right. Well, I had fun.
You lying son of a bitch. All right.
That's not true. That's not. How dare you? I'm bearing my soul to you. This is why you don't get any emotion out of me, because this is what you do.
No, it's because you never do.
You dismiss my feelings because every single time.
You never have feelings.
I'm not done talking to you.
Wait, in what sense? Like
stop talking.
Okay. No, I wasn't like. Do you mean stop talking, or do you mean it like? We'll keep talking in the future,
right?
Okay.
Anyways, it was fun for me. I enjoyed it. Think about when this thing started. Remember how you opened the show? You're like, the schools are closed. You're like this whole downtrodden. It was this whole dountrodden thing. Do you remember the first opening?
We need to do a montage with Green Day's "Time of Your Life" playing behind it. Yeah.
And then in show 40, we rebooted the opening, which was fun. Got to do that.
Yeah.
We did some stuff.
All jokes aside,
we had some fun conversations.
It was fun. I do have a little bit of a, and I know you had fun. I was just busting chops.
I know you were.
I do have. Like, I was just thinking, like, I'm going to go walk out here and go to my wife, like, all right, we're done. Last show. And just, I mean, and then I was like, as I was having that realization, I'm like, shit, I still have every Sunday night, though. Like, that's where my head's at on it. But, you know, I'm like, no, just being like, man, I'm used to not really talking to Chris from like Friday to maybe like, you know, moderate check-ins over the weekend. I'm like, I'm not going to talk to him that much. I mean, we'll get back to it, but it's going to be weird that we don't just like hop into this thing every night. Right.
It was never it was never doing the show that I got tired of. It was all like so there's this show that I was producing. There's my other show I was producing. I would also produce the Sunday nights for YouTube. You know what I mean? It was like all the extracurricular kind of stuff. Right. Not to say that I'm not trying to may sound like or whatever. Now I'm qualifying my own things like you do.
God, I'm such an asshole.
But that's not it. But like, you know, after a little while, I'm like, God, I can't even like that's all I do. Like I wake up in the morning, it's like, all right, before I go to bed, I got to get this thing posted, right? Then tomorrow morning I got to run and then Premiere Pro is a pig sometimes. And then I feel bad because I didn't get it up on time. And it's like a whole fucking thing. So that was really it wasn't the show. It wasn't our
you know what
I mean? Like,
yes,
that wasn't the point. That wasn't the issue.
It's trying to come up with it's the same thing.
I like our shows. I like the way they come together. I like when we get like Adam Unfiltered seen it. I mean, a lot of people have seen how our production meetings go. Like, what do you want to talk about? I don't know.
Well, and I think just
I got
that,
nothing.
how hard it is. Like, I'm looking at how many posts I have scheduled for the website right now, and I'm like, God, I have to work so hard.
Right. See, exactly.
And I'm gonna have to, like spend good content when I don't want to spend it. And you're like, oh, just having to do that. So then same thing with the show. It's like, I do like our shows. I like how they come together. There is an enjoyment factor, but then it's like you start hitting this point because we do it daily. And even with golf starting back up, you're like,
yeah,
what are we going to talk about? So like now you're going through all that effort and you're like, we're not even putting shows together that we think are that good or whatever. Right. So it's sort of like, we're slamming our head against it. And I don't want to say the bit is over. The problem is, though, I do, to the apolitical guy joke, I do think we've put together, I don't think anybody can keep up with every show we do, but I think we've actually put together a small, loyal following who'll kind of be like, the fuck, guys?
Oh,
where's our
for sure?
Where's albeit a shit show, where is our show?
Yeah, I want to hear two idiots talk. Now you took that from me.
Absolutely.
Right.
So
don't worry. We'll be back with a solution for that.
Yeah, and it's so bad. I was so like excited for the new show, and now I'm at a point where I'm like, oh god, we're gonna be doing it because now the new show to me like still is this show. And I'm punching computers.
Yeah, I know.
But the new show, I'm like, it is this show. And, it's not like my head hasn't detached from it yet. All right, I'll say something serious. So, Chris, the show has meant a lot to me from the content and fun thing to do perspective, but the cathartic side of it, like having a buddy to talk to every night and be like, dude, I saw 100%. This thing on Twitter related to golf, this thing related to COVID, presidential candidates, business, oil, whatever. And I'm gonna blow my brains out, and then being like, oh, well, I had a Binny's delivery today, and I'm like, oh, what? Let's talk about that. So that I've been very appreciative of. I will miss, and I just have to remember, you're just a text message away.
It's true. You can even call. I'll answer.
I say that
every time.
We're old people. We still call and can talk on phones about stuff like, hey, real quick, got something for you. That's a do answer. All right.
It's true.
I feel like I should have a better ending than our usual one, but I don't. So, Locked On Golf Podcast, day 75. We'll never see you on a Locked On Golf Podcast again, everybody.
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say that. They could shut everything. I mean, if you live in Texas or Arizona, Florida, you could start your own Lockdown Golf Podcast because you're pretty much back to.
If you want to, let us know. I will promise you guys this: if we do go backwards and we have to fire the podcast back up, it will not be a daily show ever again.
I can promise you that too.
Unless someone starts paying Chris and I a lot of money. Chris and me, good English. I'm gonna finish with good English. Chris and me a lot of money. Otherwise, I'm not a chance we're gonna do daily. Such idiots.
We're both such stubborn idiots.
Yep.
We both knew right away that like this is a bad idea. We're like, well, we said we're gonna do it every day. So
I don't think we knew it right away. I think we knew it on day 10. We're like, okay, I decided not to be a downer. What are we talking
early
about?
On.
It's like, if you don't want to talk about anything that's depressing, there's nothing to talk about. Figure it out. Just getting buckled and be like, hey, you know what? You can't release that, so I'm going to embarrass myself.
All right. Well, thanks to everyone for listening.
Absolutely.
And thanks for texting us about the show and laughing along with us and providing your input. It was fun.
Say what you will. We help pass the time.
Yeah, if nothing else.
I will say, regardless, Chris, I'll still talk to you later, bud.
All right.